How many we want out here?
Live from Buffalo Wild Wings here in Macomb, it's the Charlie Fisher Radio Show, sponsored by Brown's Shoe Fit Company in Macomb. I'm Pat Osterman alongside head coach Charlie Fisher. Welcome to our Week 2 here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Coach, it's you and I again on the microphone. Scott Kornberg is still drying out from the champagne celebration his Myrtle Beach Pelicans had last week, winning their second straight Carolina League championship. We want to wish Scott congratulations with that. We expect him to be back here on the microphone next Monday. Coach, 2 weeks ago, the Leathernecks improved to 2-0 following that 34-20 win over Northern Arizona. Coach, after you had a chance to scrutinize the film more, what did you learn from that victory?
Well, our team's got some resilience because we were in the hole 13-3 to a good team, and so we battled back from that end. We finished very well, which was exciting. We didn't start exactly the way you'd like to, being in the hole, but we finished good. I think we're finding every week we got a guy who can run the ball very, very well. We had to improve our pass game. I thought we did that. Sean did an excellent job, and I thought our defense showed a lot of resilience. We talked about having to bounce back for when they hit a big play. They hit some big plays. You got to keep playing, and we did, and we were able to have some key stops on fourth down when it mattered most.
We talked a lot about last week with the preseason All-America quarterback that Northern Arizona had in their high-power offense. Case Cook, I don't know if you saw this on Saturday, and you figured they were going to steamroll New Mexico Highlands, but he had 7 touchdown passes in that game, and I think they ended up winning like 77-3. So it just kind of goes to show how good the defense did to limit them to just 20 points during that home opening win.
Yeah, he's really good. We talked about that before. So he's a very talented player, poised, long, got a quick release, gets the ball out. That's not the last touchdown pass he's going to throw for this season, and he's got a long way to go. Unfortunately, we got to see him again next year. But Coach, he's very good. He's a very talented player.
Coach, what did you guys work on practice during last week?
Just took care of us. You know, the whole concentration was on us getting better at what we do on both sides of the ball. We competed against each other. You know, our practices are extremely competitive, and we do a lot of work against each other. So it was really our schemes, our fundamentals, our players. It was all about us. And then last night we had a good 2-hour, 15-minute practice. It was focused pretty much directly on Northern Illinois.
Coach, you gave the team most of the weekend off. What did you do this past weekend?
You know, well, I relaxed a little bit. Watched a little football. Watched North Dakota State finish the deal on Iowa, which didn't surprise me totally with the way those guys play and the confidence they play with. And, you know, I got some buddies that obviously coach in different places, kept up with them and their scores, and relaxed a little bit. So a little bit of combination of both.
How's coming off the bye week going to help the team health-wise? Anybody who may have missed or getting a little banged up, how are they going to be looking heading into Northern Illinois on Saturday?
Well, it's always good to have a little bit of time. You know, sometimes you say, do you want that bye week later? And, you know, maybe it could work out there, but it was in after our second game, so it worked out into Aaron Diggs. I think we'll get back, hopefully from a concussion if he passes all the protocol here at the end. He's pretty much through all of it. He's got to finish here tomorrow. And then Sean McGuire's a little bit nicked up, but, you know, from a hit he took in the Northern Arizona game, but it helped him heal up a little bit. He did a little bit of work last week, not a lot. But on the flip side of that, Trent Norvell got a lot of reps, as did Craig Slowick. So our other two quarterbacks got a lot of reps. But now Sean was back last night, looked good throwing the ball, and I think he's pretty much ready to go.
Well, one of the things about the bye week, it gives the opportunity to the younger players to get more reps. Did you try and get that in a lot last week?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We did a little bit with our young guys, our redshirt guys, and got them some work. And then just, you know, young guys that are playing. They don't just have to be a Frost to be young if they haven't played a whole lot for you. And quite honestly, a lot of our guys are new in our scheme anyhow. So, you know, we did a lot of good things that helped a lot of people.
You mentioned about some of the younger guys getting some playing time. Let's talk about a couple of those guys. The first 2 weeks, you've had 3 true freshmen get plenty of snaps on defense. Cornerbacks Mike Vitti and Darren Wheeler, and we also saw defensive lineman Eric Preston. He played a significant amount of snaps against Northern Arizona. What are your impressions on the true freshmen, and what do they bring to the defense?
Well, I mean, obviously, right now they bring us depth. I think Mike Vitti and Darren Wheeler are going to be tremendous. They're already making huge strides. And Eric Preston was a kind of a combo guy when I got here. He had been committed to us. Some people thought he might be an offensive lineman, maybe weren't really sure. And the first time I met him, I mean, he had a defensive end look. You know, he's not as heavy as he needs to be to play offensive tackle. He can run. He's athletic. I said, you know, there's no way we're moving that guy to offensive tackle. Not a guy that can run and is long like that. So, you know, he was pretty much from the first time I saw him, I said, that's a defensive end for me. And Mike and Darren have done a tremendous job outside. They're going to be really good. And both those guys, you know, they just compete. You know, they're competitive. Mike Vitti is as competitive a young player as I've ever been around.
Well, Mike played in that Pennsylvania All-Star game this past summer that you're very familiar with, being from that area. How much did that experience against the high-level talent in Pennsylvania and Maryland help him?
Well, a lot. You know, Mike came from a really good high school program in the Harrisburg area, so he's played at a high level. He's been at a lot of high-level camps. He went to a DB academy his whole career, so you know, he's been schooled the right way. And you know, people don't realize Mike committed to Maryland. And I'd recruited Mike at Richmond, and he made an early commit to Maryland, which pretty much bounced us out of the opportunity. And then with the coaching change, you just never know with the coaching changes what's going to happen. Well, they dropped Mike, and, you know, he was looking for a home, and we were so happy to give him one. And Mike's a fantastic young man, and, I mean, as hard-working young players I've ever been around. He reminds me of Jordan Matthews when I had Jordan at Vanderbilt. Jordan was that kind of worker. Holt had there's just some guys you know, Brett Taylor's like that. There's just some guys that are wired different. And I oftentimes say football's not for well-adjusted people. You know, we're all kind of whack jobs that do this in some ways. And the very best guys are just driven to greatness every day. And Mike's a lot like that. And having a guy like Brett Taylor show him the way, that's just another great opportunity for him to look at a role model of the way a guy goes about it. But Mike is wired like that, and Wheeler's a very good worker. We got a lot of great workers on our football team, and you know, Mike, but a young player many times they don't quite get that right away.
Sure.
It takes a little bit.
You mentioned about North Dakota State and looking at some of the other scores from around the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Were you surprised by any of the finals on Saturday?
Well, nothing surprises me in football anymore because, you know, there's such a balance of teams anymore with scholarships. And, you know, people do such a great job recruiting and just different ways to handle different schemes. And you spread offenses, the power offenses. But, you know, the way that North Dakota State finished that game, I think you have to take your hat off to those guys. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the country. And, I mean, they slugged it out with them. You know, it was a street fight, and you know, they took some punches, but they gave some back.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that they held Iowa to -7 rushing yards in the second half, so very impressive. And again, they fared well against the FBS opponents of late, won 6 straight now. So again, like you said, tip your hat to the Bison. The Big Sky Conference actually got a little bit better of the Missouri Valley this past weekend. I think it was 1-3 that the Valley went against the Big Sky, but again, all very close games, and it just goes to show, like you were saying, how good of talent there is around the country.
These are good leagues. You know, I just came from the CAA, which is a tremendous league. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not anything that really separates any of these conferences. They all have a little bit different MO, what they might like to do, or what the identity, like the Big Sky being a spread team. The Missouri Valley has an identity for great defense, and the CAA maybe a combination of those. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you take 20 teams, and a number of those out of those conferences are the top teams in the country, and really anybody could beat anybody any given day. And I know you hear that all the time, but it's really the truth, and all you got to do is look at the matchups.
Yep. Coach, some statistics after week 3. Western shares the national lead in several categories in the latest NCAA FCS rankings. And you look at these numbers that we're number 1 in the country tied with. 4th down conversion defense, 0.0.
Yeah, absolutely.
4th down conversions, you guys are perfect. 0 fumbles lost. 0 passes you've had intercepted. 0 turnovers lost. And to me, the two that are really the most impressive, I think, you're number 1 in red zone offense, perfect on the year, and you're number 1 in red zone defense, allowing just a 40% scoring rate.
Those are good. 0 and 1 are good. Those are good numbers. But, you know, anytime you don't turn it over is really good. You know, you got to be really good on 3rd down on both sides. And I know particularly, you know, offensively at this point we've been very good on 3rd down. Red zone, you got to be really good on both sides. You know, you want to keep them to a minimal, hopefully 3 points, and keep them out of the end zone. So that's certainly been a big part of it. And we were a good red zone team last year at Richmond. We found our way in the end zone a lot with 7 points. So that's a trend that I like to see continuing. And we're doing, and really to me, Pat, it comes down, can you run the ball in the red zone? If you can run the ball, it's easier to score in the red zone because the field shrinks, the throws are tighter. You have to make throws down there for touchdown passes, but if you can run the ball, what a big, big difference.
Well, you mentioned about the rushing, and individually, Steve McShane, he's still leading the nation in rushing yards per game. He's second nationally in all-purpose yards per game. He's also among the top 15 nationally in rushing touchdowns, scoring, yards per carry, and he's showcasing what a balanced offensive attack we can do along with the passing game and what our offensive line can do as well.
Yeah, we got to keep getting this guy the ball. I mean, you just the weeks go on, you continue to identify your playmakers, and I have a pretty good feeling who they are. And we need to be creative and find ways to get 34 of the ball in different ways, not just out of the one back set or the eye, where it's throwing it to him or flexing him out and doing some things with him there. But he's a game changer, and we've got a number of those guys. But obviously, he's proven right now that he's at the high end of that and doing a great job.
Well, we've got guys in all three facets of the game ranked. Lance Lenore in receiving yards, Brett Taylor in total tackles, and Nathan Knuffman in field goal percentages. They're all ranked among the top 15 nationally in their respective categories. So, like I said, really good production from all three facets.
Well, what they say in baseball, you'll be strong down the middle. Well, that's being strong down the middle with your tailback, your Mike linebacker, and your kicker. So that's a pretty good start. You knew I'd get a baseball deal in there somehow,
Actually, I was
right?
going to throw that in later in case we had some time later on to talk some baseball. But we're going to take our first time out. When we return, Mick Nelson is going to step up to the microphone. Thanks for tuning in online and 102.7 FM here in Macomb. This is the Charlie Fisher Radio Show, sponsored by Brown's Shoe Fit Company.
Yeah?
I'm going to put it out right here. First 3 WIU students coming out tonight. Again, we'll get them a meal.
Check in,
there you go.
with you, show your ID. Check in with the coach, show your ID.
So what we got here?
All right. Just going to talk to you about a little bit of high school. The rugby was a big selling point joining Western. Did you play any certain position? You did travel a couple times your redshirt year. How'd that prepare you? You haven't missed a game, and so far you're here your third year. You've had some good seniors to learn from. What did you learn from them? How special was it for you to start as 11 in the season opener? You can talk a little bit about academics, and then we'll get into some personal stuff. Hometown, what you're majoring in, what do you hope to do when it's over? And depending on how much time we got to throw in about the Vikings. All right. Talk a little bit about that. And since we're at B-Dubs, your favorite wing sauce.
Sounds good.
All right. And then if we got time, that's going to be the last one. Where's the defense going to go and how good?
Okay.
We'll probably go about 7-8 minutes.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Charlie Fisher Radio Show, sponsored by Brown's Shoe Fit Company. Pat Osterman filling in for Scott Kornberg tonight. And we now welcome to the microphone junior defensive lineman Mick Nelson. Mick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Mick, you're a redshirt junior and in your 4th year with the Leatherneck football program. Let's hit rewind back to high school. What was the biggest selling point on joining Western Illinois?
For me, it was just the guys I hung out with on my visit. You know, I felt like I was part of the family right away. You know, I didn't feel like I had to earn my spot so much here. It was, you know, like I said, part of the family right off the bat, and that was big. I didn't get that everywhere else. So, yep.
Your bio says you played rugby in high school. Now, I've got to ask you, I've seen a few rugby matches in my day, but explain to the listening audience and those watching online what that was like.
You know, I was a terrible baseball player, and so I had to find something to do in the spring. and one of my buddies' older brothers played rugby. And so when I was in 7th grade through my sophomore year, I played 8-man, which is kind of like a tight end. It's completely different from football as far as, everyone grows up watching football. I'd never seen a match before I started playing, so it was a good experience. It taught me, to tackle better, and it's something I enjoy watching to this day. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You traveled a few times during your redshirt year in 2013. How did that prepare you for when you started playing and suiting up?
Just watching those older guys, that first year traveling, how they prepared for games, whether it be game plan or, just mentally getting ready to take on their opponent. It helped me, I learned a lot from those guys, I guess. It was a very good experience and, helped kind of mature me as an athlete watching those folks. So.
In your third year of playing, you haven't missed a game. You've gotten action in all 27 games. Now, the last couple of years, you've had some good seniors to learn from on the defensive line, especially in the interior. What are some of those things that you picked up from the then upperclassmen?
Just how to practice. Keep getting better every day. It's easy, especially when you're younger. You may not be getting as many reps to kind of take it easy in practice and not get the most out of it. But watching guys like Chris Harley, Eddie Holtzlaw, Gavin Ricketts, those guys, watching them work in practice, it showed me what it takes to be a starter on this defense and be productive at this level. So.
You talked about starting. How special was it for you to earn your first start as a Leatherneck in the season opener at Eastern Illinois a couple weeks ago?
It was exciting. It was a little different. Usually, I'm used to being able to talk to whoever was out there first. Ask, all right, what are we seeing? What do I expect? But it was a great experience, and something I've been working towards. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now, academics looks to always be a point of emphasis for you. How do you tackle being a full-time student in addition to the rigors of being a football student-athlete?
It's just time management. You got to know sometimes you got to put the Xbox controller down and sit down and actually take care of that homework. It's as long as you're good with your time and you stay organized, it's very manageable. So
we're talking with junior defensive lineman Mick Nelson. Mick, highlight so far as a Leatherneck for you?
That selection ceremony last year when we made the playoffs, that was big. There was teams that had better records than us that didn't make it. So to actually make it, knowing that going in, and we were the last team picked, announced, I guess, that was outstanding. One of the highlights of not just my career, but my life. That was really fun. So.
Do you remember what your reaction was? Did you jump up and down? Did you high-five your teammates around you?
Oh yeah, I was acting a fool. It was exciting. Especially I was sitting next to a couple of our seniors who had been working towards that for 4 or 5 years. It was a party. It was a lot of fun.
For the fans, what's your hometown and what are you majoring in?
Just north of St. Paul, Minnesota, called Vadnais Heights, and I am majoring in agriculture business.
What do you hope to do when your playing career is over?
I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit. Like I said, I'm an ag business major, so I'll probably end up in seed sales or something like that. But all doors are open right now, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
I asked Sean McGuire this last week. Favorite professional team?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Okay. Now, during fall camp, you had a tweet shout-out to the Vikings right after Teddy Bridgewater suffered his knee injury. Do you remember that? Can you share that with everyone?
Well, I was seeing if we could get old Peyton Manning back. See if we could pull him out of retirement. We had Brett Favre, great success there, and so figured why not give it a shot.
You even offered up your parents' house for him to stay at, right?
Well, yeah, we got an extra room now. I'm not there, so you can take advantage of that. We're just a little rent, nothing he can't afford, so.
Did you have a chance to watch the game at all last night in your downtime?
Yep. Yeah, I actually hurried out of the locker room, tried to avoid seeing the score and stuff, and I had it recorded at home. And so I was able to watch the Vikes beat the Packers, which if they don't win a single game the rest of the season, I'm fine as long as they beat the Packers at home. So.
Nice way to open up the brand new stadium, too.
Oh, absolutely.
We're here live at Buffalo Wild Wings. Fans, you make sure you join us every Monday at 6 p.m. to meet Coach Fisher, coaches, and our guest Leatherneck football player. Mick, since we're here at Buffalo Wild Wings, what's your favorite wing sauce?
I like the Parmesan garlic sauce. It's a little mild, but it's still got a little kick to it. It's something I enjoy.
All right. One final question for you. Same one I asked Sean McGuire last week. Where can this defense, in your case with the defense, and this team go this year?
I think we can go all the way. To be honest, it's kind of cliche to say that, but we've got the components. We got to keep improving every week. But I think with this personnel and this coaching staff, we got a chance to do it.
Mick Nelson, thank you for joining us. When we return, Coach Fisher and I will preview the Northern Illinois game. You're listening to the Charlie Fisher Radio Show, sponsored by Brown's Shoe Fit Company.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good stuff.
It's the most we've had. Sam, what do we got, about a minute? Sam, we got about a minute. Coach Fisher. All right. If we got time, we'll throw in baseball. I'm going to talk a little bit about NIU, but.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. Just give me one good baseball question.
All right.
One good one. Trivia night here. We do trivia with the students. We got the tweet out, so we'll see if anybody shows up.
All right. We got about 7+ minutes.
Okay, good. Tell me some random questions.
Welcome back to the Charlie Fisher Radio Show, sponsored by Brown Shoe Fit Company and live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Macomb. Reminder, fans, we're going to be here every Monday tonight through the rest of the football season, 6 p.m. Come on out and join us. Meet Coach Fisher and our players and our coaches in attendance. Reminder, follow Leatherneck Football on social media, at WIU Football for Twitter. You got Facebook, you got Instagram. Coach Fisher, give him a follow on Twitter. Coach, how can fans follow you on Twitter?
At Coach Fish, rip it. You can find me on there. Just put it out there. It'll come.
Do a search. All right. Couple things to note here as we enter this final segment of tonight's show. The polls came out again today. Western's ranked 12th in the Hero Sports poll and 13 in the Stats and FCS Coaches poll. The number 12 ranking matches the highest for the program since October of 2008. The Sagarin ratings, here's one I want to touch on real quick with you. On Sunday, it listed Western number 96, but that's in all of Division I football, 253 teams. And we should note Northern Illinois, 10 spots behind us at 106. So the Leathernecks were not only the 7th among the FCS teams, but they were 4th among the Missouri Valley Football Conference teams. And they ranked ahead of 39 FBS programs.
Well, that probably, what it tells you is a lot of respect for the schedule that has been played not just this year, but in previous years, and respect for the program.
That was actually our athletic communications office Leatherneck trivia question for today, is how many FBS teams that we were ranked ahead of.
Nice.
The Hero Sports Power Rankings were also released. Western jumped up to 8th in that, while the Athlon Power Poll had the Leathernecks at 10th. So very, very good week. I know it's numbers. It's only 2 games into 11-game season, regular season.
Right.
But like you said last week, it's obviously good for the team's confidence.
It's good for confidence. It's good for our fan base. And, you know, you want good vibes going into a game like this. We got a big challenge on the road. And our players know we got a lot of work ahead of us. I talk to them all the time about that. A fat and happy team gets beat. And you can't do that. You got to stay, locked in on your goals and stay focused. And we work on that. We talk about it all the time. Mick knows that. He hears me talk about that all the time. So we got a great group of kids that understand that.
You bet. Coach, don't forget, and fans, don't forget the Leatherneck Club Social at the Hilton in Lisle, Naperville this Friday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Coach, I know you're going to be there to speak to the crowd. It's free for the public to attend. Western Illinois Athletics invites everyone to the social, and Leatherneck Club members get a special welcome gift at the door. And again, for our crowd here tonight, come on out to Buffalo Wild Wings. You could submit a question to ask Coach Fisher, and we do have one from our crowd tonight, Coach. And the question is, how do you get the tight ends involved more in the offense?
We'll do that. Part of that has been, and when I took the job here, and I'm a big tight end guy, and we are using our tight ends. They haven't been involved as much in the pass game, a lot in the run game. I know that gets overlooked sometimes. I think part of it is finding all the parts of what they can do, what Sean has been able to do. Believe me, I'm very much aware of it. I don't like the fact that they haven't been involved enough because I like that group, and we need to get them more involved as we move forward, and they need to be a bigger part of our pass game.
Now, Coach, on Saturday, I was able to catch the last part of the Northern Illinois game, and the Huskies dropped their home opener to San Diego State. Their offense has been putting up about 26 points a game, but, Coach, on defense, NIU is allowing 43 points and more than 500 yards of total offense per game. The Aztecs had a running back go for 220 yards in the game and 3 touchdowns, including a 79-yarder. What have you seen on tape about Northern Illinois?
It's kind of weird because they had opportunities where they had him bottled up. Now, this young man made some great runs. The 2 long runs were phenomenal. I mean, he made runs a lot like Steve McShane, and, I mean, he can finish. He's really good. So, and San Diego State, as well as Wyoming, played most of the game or a lot of the game in 2 backs. And so the box was loaded, and it was a street fight. And at the end of the day, if you can crease a run when everybody's in that box, it's going to go a long way. And San Diego State was able to do that. Probably like most of us, when you get long runs, you'd say, hey, we got to tackle better, which would, obviously that's something we all got to do better when teams are running the ball or hitting long runs. So I'd say that's one of their points of emphasis. But they're a tough, physical team. They're going to load the box, and they know we like to run the ball, so it's going to be a similar type game.
The all-time series, Western actually trails 21-17-1, but 4 of Western's 6 FBS wins all-time have come against the Huskies, including that 3 straight stretch we had, 1996, 1999, and 2002. In fact, we won 3 of the last 4 meetings at Northern Illinois, and it's the first meeting between the 2 programs since 2009. Right,
it is, and they've had great success here recently. I've got a lot of respect for Northern Illinois for what they've done, and really, I was in the Mid-American Conference at Miami, Ohio, when they were in that great streak and ended up playing in the Orange Bowl. And they brought so much exposure not only to that conference, but to mid-major, teams. And a very, very talented team, fast at that point, and still got a lot of good players. And obviously they suffered a tough injury in losing their quarterback. You lose your leader, and he was a senior leader. That's a tough deal for anybody. So they're working on overcoming that, and sometimes you go through some tough stretches. They played a tough game in Wyoming that went into double, triple overtime, finished at like 3 in the morning, got back home, had to go down and play in the heat in South Florida against a very talented, fast team, and then come back and play a good San Diego State team. So sometimes records are deceiving. They've got good players. It'll be a street fight for us against them, and we'll have to be ready to play well.
And they're going to be fired up too, because seeing how good the Missouri Valley Football Conference is and how many, FBS wins that our league already has, we're going to be coming in fired up, and they understand that, and they're going to become prepared too, because they want to try and get that first win before they start their conference play.
No doubt. They're not going to overlook anybody. When I've been in that position, you're not going to overlook anybody, and then they go on the road, play Ball State and Western Michigan. So they got to leave home and go play 2 very good conference teams on the road. So they know, believe me, their program knows the importance of this game.
2:30 kickoff. The game will be shown live on ESPN3, so make sure you tune in if you can't get up to DeKalb. And if you want ticket information, go ahead and call the Western Illinois Athletic Ticket Office, 309-298-1190, 2:30 kickoff. Coach, as we're getting ready to wrap up here, week number 2, switch gears a little bit, baseball.
Baseball, one of my.
What you think over the weekend, and are your Giants going to be able to hold on to that wild card spot?
Well, we're not going to be able to hold on if we don't get a closer. I can tell you that. Me and my wife suffered through 2 tough games against the Cardinals, so we better make amends on the back end. So it really goes to speak what I always say: you got to be able to finish, and it doesn't matter whether it's in the 4th quarter or the 9th inning. If you can't finish, they all count the same.
Well, they look good the first 2 games of that series, and then St. Louis is able to come back, and only, handful of games left in the regular season. It's going to go right down to the wire.
Going to the wire, and somehow you knew it was going to come down. Giants and Dodgers, that's going to be, critical at the end. And somewhere, Pat, deep down in, I think you're a Giants fan. You
No,
smile when you say Giants. So, I like that.
Well, as I said, as I told you before, as I said to others, number one, I'm a Minnesota Twins fan. That was the very first game I ever went to growing up, but since moving to Illinois, and my wife and I really got me into the Cardinals, so I've really become a good Cardinals fan as well. So we like to go down there and watch games. So it was good to see the Cardinals come back and get 2. But like I said, it's going to be an interesting stretch run.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You're very honest. I can tell you there's not many people that do come out of the closet and say they're Minnesota Twins fans. I haven't heard Mick say that yet. So, but there's a couple of them out there.
Well, that's why we're looking forward to the fall in the Minnesota Vikings. So,
that's right.
Coach, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for the insight, and looking forward to next week's show.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Brown's Shoe Fit Company, right here in Macomb. For our producer, Sam Cooperman, Chris back in studio at Regional Media, and head coach Charlie Fisher, I'm Pat Osterman. Scott Kornberg returns to the mic next week, and we will see you here inside Buffalo Wild Wings every Monday, 6 p.m. for the Charlie Fisher Radio Show. Good night, everybody.